Hello, I'm Cameron Booth from the Children's Museum of Richmond. Today I have a fun art project for you to do at home. For this art project, we are going to be creating shrinking charms out of number 6 plastic. For this project, you are going to need, most importantly, number 6 plastic. Usually you can find these at your grocery store or takeout containers, and the way to tell if they're number 6 is by looking at the bottom of them, and you will see a small triangle made out of arrows, and inside of that triangle will be a number 6. If it's a number 1 or a number 3, it is not going to work. You must have number 6. Have an adult check for you if you can't find it. Once you have your number 6 plastic, you will also need a hole punch, scissors, paper about the same size as the largest flat piece of number 6 plastic you have, permanent magic markers, regular markers, a toaster oven or an oven preheated to 325 degrees. Now, always have a caregiver do this for you, as ovens can get very hot. The first step in making your awesome shrinking charms is to take your paper, as I have here, and you are going to want to draw a design that you will be making onto your charm. As you can see, I made a little flower today. You could use your markers for this. You could also use your permanent markers. I always advise using regular markers because sometimes these like to stink up your house. So once you have your design, you are going to cut out your piece of number 6 plastic from your shell container or whatever other piece of plastic you have. And it will look something like this. And as you can see, I have already laid it over my design on my piece of paper and traced it with my permanent markers. You must have permanent markers to trace it onto your plastic, or it will not stick and it will not work out. So again, always use your permanent markers to trace your design. So once you have your design traced onto your number 6 plastic, and you can see that I don't have any curved pieces, it's completely flat, you're going to take your hole punch and hole punch a hole somewhere on your plastic. The reason we're doing this now, as you can see, when your charm shrinks, it's going to be very, very thick, and it's going to make it harder for you to punch a hole into it. So doing it now will save you some effort later. So now you're going to want to have your caregiver take your design, put it onto a baking sheet with some aluminum foil on it, open your oven, and gently slide it in. Careful, it's hot. Now, your plastic is going to shrink about 75% in about 30 seconds to a minute. And you're going to want to stay by your oven and just watch. Now, the plastic reacting to the heat creates the shrinking effect. You don't want to over bake it at all. And remember, it has to be at 325 degrees. And as your plastic starts to shrink, you're going to see it curl up, and it will slowly start to go back down again. And you'll see what I do when I take it out. All right, our plastic's starting to shrink. It gets kind of all wavy. Ooh, it's starting to really go down now. It is okay if it's wavy because you'll be able to push it down with a spatula or a cloth later. I'm gonna let it bake just for a few more seconds. It's almost done. And you can see that it's almost done because the edges get really thick. So I'm going to open up my toaster oven and using an oven mitt or with your adult, you're going to want to take out your awesome shrinking charm. Make sure you close your oven and turn it off. I like to press down on my shrinking charm just a little bit to flatten it out, and we're going to let it cool for about 2 minutes. All right, after it's all cooled, you're going to be able to gently pick it up, and you will see that you have made an awesome shrinking charm. Now, you'll also notice that the colors have really darkened and become more solid. That's because all of those tiny lines you made have shrunken together, made a really cool effect. That is how you make an awesome recycled number 6 plastic shrinky charm. Be on the lookout for more fun activities from the Children's Museum.